Welcome to the Unfinished Workweek, a show for those working 55, 60, or 65 hours a week. And now, here is your host, Andy Guterowitz.
Well, good evening, everybody, and how are you tonight? This is Andy Guterowitz, the Unfinished Workweek, the show for, well, all of you, working 55, 60, 65, and believe it or not, 90 hours a week, I found out today. 90 hours a week. And I keep on trying to tell you, this is not good for you. And it's not me telling you this. It's science telling you this. It's your body telling you this. You've got to stop doing this to yourself. You're losing 6 to 10 years out of your life by working these crazy hours and getting chronic stress. And we're going to get into that in future shows, believe me. Okay, tonight we're going to have two guests. First guest is going to be out of White Plains, New York, believe it or not. And we'll be using Skype to talk to him. And the second guest will be here in the studio, sitting right next to me, but that's going to be a surprise for you. If you're going to call in tonight, please turn the volume down on your computer so we don't get any feedback. And the call-in number floating across your screen right now is probably 813-639-8255. Okay, our first guest, as I said before, was from White Plains, New York. Let's welcome Brandon from the law firm of Brandon S. Albert, Esquire, which is also his website address. Good evening, Brandon. How are you?
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Well, I am doing really fantastic.
Good.
And I take it you're not. You're feeling under the weather, huh?
I was feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm bouncing back. I had a day off today, and I had some rest time with my family, so I'm gaining my strength back to go back to work tomorrow.
Well, all of you lawyers, I have to bring this up, Brandon.
Go ahead.
Because everybody thinks you lawyers, you don't do too much anyhow and you get paid a lot of money.
Well, there are successful lawyers out there. There's no doubt of that. And to be honest with you, being a lawyer is work. I mean, you have to manage a firm. You have to manage a practice. You have to make sure your clients are properly being contacted. You have to make sure the payroll and business expenses are paid. And you have to make sure that the impression that you leave with your clients is always a positive one so you can maintain a positive client flow and continuing business in the future. So it's different. It's different than having a 9-to-5. If you're a lawyer in private practice, you're basically your own proprietor. You're running your own business, and there's always one thing to do, one thing or another to do to make sure that your business is running smoothly because you're your own boss. You're the boss of everything that happens. You're not answering anybody except your clients, your customers,
and your wife.
And my wife, of course. You can't forget the wife. But it's different than being it's different than being employed. You're your own boss, and there are plenty of lawyers who are employees of other people, and they have their own stresses too. They have to be productive to keep their jobs. They have to be productive to justify their salaries. Some of those lawyers work 50, 60, 70 hours a week on Wall Street and other places. So being a lawyer is rewarding. It is in some respects, a relatively well-respected profession still. But there's a lot of lawyer jokes, of course, as we all know, we've heard. But it's definitely rewarding. But it is hard.
And is that because you're helping people, Brandon?
We always try to help people. We help as many people as we can in my practice and in other fields of practice. Some people are not always going to be happy, but if you learn your skill and your practice and you're honest with your clients as to what your role is in helping them, then that they have a better understanding of what you're trying to do for them. They will appreciate your efforts more, even if you're not able to give them everything that they want, whatever the legal problem happens to be.
And what is your main topic for your firm?
My firm is primarily traffic violations.
You're kidding me. Everybody gets those.
Yeah, there's more contact with the general public has more contact with law enforcement through traffic violations than all other contacts combined. Yes, you have your criminal lawyers and you have other areas where people have contact with the law, and divorce, etc. But traffic violations, there are tens of millions of traffic tickets issued every year across the United States. And a lot of people don't realize that there are consequences to pleading guilty or paying a ticket that some people are not always aware of right away.
Like what? Like what?
Points on the license, for one thing. Points on the license can affect insurance. It can affect job status even. If you're a truck driver or a professional driver, there's more at stake for people like that than there is for the average citizen. So sometimes even, your livelihood can be at stake, whether you even realize it or not. And some people think it's just a matter of about paying a fine. There's more consequences to the fine, unlike parking tickets. Speeding tickets, red lights, cell phone tickets, they're all have consequences with insurance companies, et cetera, all the way down the line. And you have rights in the process. You have the right to plead not guilty and have a hearing, or to negotiate in places where that's possible, so that there'll be less damage to your overall driving record. Driving records are important.
So do you actually go to court with your accounts?
Absolutely. Go to court every single day. I
Really?
practice primarily in New York City, where there is no plea bargaining. Everything's a trial, and we win some and we lose some. But I always try to make it clear to the clients who hire me that, hey, there are consequences, and I will give you the best chance of getting the best result possible. And, I've been doing it 19 years. I've gotten pretty good at it, and I have a large clientele that have learned to respect me for it over the years. So I have accomplished something in this field.
I was going to ask you, how do you keep the bread flow flowing with customer base?
My business is mostly referrals. And there are plenty of professional drivers who are repeat clienteles because they keep getting tickets. It's word of mouth mostly. And there are other methods of getting your name out that lawyers have employed, like internet advertising, being on the radio, and other methods, going to different places where your word can get out to the people who get tickets, locations like taxi bases in New York City, or professional truck depots and things like that. Truck drivers who drive a lot, bus drivers who drive a lot, cab drivers who drive a lot, they're going to make mistakes on the road and they get tickets. And some of them are really afraid, are made aware of the consequences, and they're really afraid, and they look and they put trust in people like me to represent them through the process of fighting their tickets.
Well, how come you get these repeat offenders? What are they, crazy?
Well, it depends where you're from. In New York City, where I do a lot of my work, there's a lot of law enforcement out there. There's a lot of ticket writing. It's a very populated city, as everyone knows. There's a lot of traffic, and as a result, there's a lot of traffic enforcement. And some drivers are worse than others, to be quite frank. And some drivers will get stopped making a few mistakes, but they keep getting tickets because some of them just don't learn. Some of them make mistakes. Some of them are just, are in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, there are circumstances around every case. They're not all crazy, but some of them, they have the rights. They have the right to
they most certainly do. Well, I'm going to have to draw this to a close here, Brandon. Sure. I appreciate it very much for you visiting our show. And perhaps in the future, we can see you again.
Hopefully so.
Okay, very good. Have a nice evening, Brandon. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Well, here we are. We're back in the studio here in Tampa, Florida, no longer going back and forth to White Plains, New York. And by the way, that was a first for us, huh, Chris?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really awesome.
That was a first for us to be interviewing remotely. And if you were watching the show and not just listening to the show, you could see that person, which is really kind of cool.
Yep, stepping it up around here.
Yeah,
watch out. And we're all doing it for you, Andy.
Oh, thank you. Now let's introduce you to our main guest this evening. The main thing about this evening is going to be about does hypnotherapy really, really, really have the power to reduce chronic stress? Now, that's a good discussion topic, believe me. So sitting next to me over here for the last 10 minutes, smiling away, trying to make me laugh, is Miss Trish Dwyer. She is a hypnotist. She's also a registered nurse here in Tampa. She owns Florida Hypnosis.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to talk to her tonight, and we're not going to be easy on her. So if you want folks, call in. Call in, please. Call in that number. What was that number again, Chris?
That number's going to be 813-639-8255.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
And how are you this evening? You're good?
Very well, yes, thanks.
Very good. Now, the first thing I said to poor Brandon was what people think of lawyers.
Yes, I heard that.
Well, I got to ask you the same. I got to ask you the same question. You know, what do people really think of hypnosis and hypnotherapy and voodoo?
Yes, probably the number one question is: are you going to make me quack like a duck, bark like a dog?
Really?
Yes, stage hypnosis.
Okay.
So, but no, hypnotherapist is what I am.
Yes.
Hypnotist is what the stage hypnosis is all about.
So, what does a hypnotherapist do?
We work on issues that people come in with, for example, quitting smoking, weight loss, anxiety, stress.
Okay, so we're on the right subject. We're getting there.
We're
getting on the right subject. Now, don't name your patients, of course, because you can't.
Correct.
Right?
Of course.
That's a secret.
That's a secret.
So okay. But we can talk about work-related stress.
Yes.
Now, do you have any clients that have come in because they are really stressed out because of work?
Yes. Generally, I would classify that as people say they're overwhelmed.
They're overwhelmed.
Yes, and work being the number one reason they're overwhelmed. Add in some family life too, but work.
But work.
Yes.
Okay. What are they so overwhelmed about? I mean, I've seen that word overwhelmed in descriptions of stress, etc. All right. What are they overwhelmed about? What are some of the things they're overwhelmed about?
Well, that's my question to them. What exactly is overwhelming you?
Yes.
And if you boil it down like that, it's hard for people to actually give you something. Basically, time. There's not enough time in a day, but there's the same amount of time in every day.
Well, that's also true. So let's stop on that one. Not enough time in the day to do what?
Everything that's asked of them.
Everything that's asked of them.
And that's usually where that's where we start to uncover some of the motivators behind why people do what they do. Meaning...
Yeah, please. Expound on that. That sounds pretty good.
Meaning, why are they taking on extra projects that is not required? Are they spending extra time on something? Are they putting in extra hours that aren't necessary? Are they picking up other people's slack that may not be doing their job? Are they stepping up and doing the job for them? So we start to uncover, is this person a people pleaser? Do personal boundaries need to be set? Make sense?
It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Now, what is the answers they're giving you? For being overwhelmed and still working all these hours, and are they afraid they're going to lose their job?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So whether it be that if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, or feeling as though they're trying to prove their worth, keeping up with younger incoming employees, things like that would be the reason that people continue to do this, even to their own detriment.
Even to their own detriment.
Mm-hmm.
How bad have you seen some people that are stressed out?
Oh, medical issues.
What do you mean medical issues? What type of medical issues?
It starts to become stomach issues.
Meaning ulcers?
Ulcers, IBS, then Crohn's disease. Disease is caused by stress, continued chronic stress.
And these people certainly are chronic stress, right?
Oh, yes.
Every day they go to work. Every night they go home.
And then don't sleep at night.
And don't sleep
And then
at
you add
night.
that in. Yes.
Yeah, we're laughing a little bit about this, but it's not really funny, is it?
No, it's not.
No. How do you, as a hypnotherapist, how do you attack a problem like a person wants to please everybody, and so they take on the extra work, and that's the main cause of that particular person's stress.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with that with hypnotherapy?
Well, good question.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. That's why you do the show. So basically that starts to, you look at what's underneath that. Why does somebody want to please somebody else? There's reasons. There's reasons for everything we do. There's always underlying reasons for our behaviors.
What are some of the reasons they've told you?
So what somebody might say was, like we had said before, about if I don't do it, somebody else will, or, well, it affects my job, or I can't stand when something's not perfect. Those are the kinds of reasons of why they're doing it. However, what is it really all about? Because will they get in trouble if it's not done? Will anything major happen if it's not perfect? Chances are no. So what is it that's driving a person to do this, like I said, to their own detriment? And that's where I come in. Because when we work on self-esteem, we work on setting boundaries. Boundaries meaning this is how much I respect myself, my health, my own personal time. And when you demand that from other people, you start to get that respect back. So meaning you can have a life that's more balanced.
Do you know any of your friends work in the corporate world?
Yes.
How many hours a week do they work?
Maybe 60.
It's a far cry from 36 and a half or 40, right?
Yes.
And why do they do that? They're your friends. You must know why. I know they must pick your mind being a hypnotherapist. So.
But you know how you can tell people things and they don't believe it.
I learned that tonight. I certainly did. I learned that tonight. But why are they working all those hours? When they're in corporate life, they have good jobs, I take it, right? Mm-hmm. Like managers or directors?
Sure, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, supervising positions. Well,
and they think they're going to get fired if they don't work these hours? Really?
Well, that's the logical thought process. But see, I deal with the irrational, illogical thoughts.
That's
which
why
are
I
feelings.
came to you. I was irrational.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Right.
So, what are these irrational thoughts they have?
It's all based on feelings. Feelings are not rational. They're irrational. So.
Oh, excuse me. We have a caller coming in. Good evening. You're with Andy Gutierrez and Trish Dwyer. You're live.
Hi. This is Betty, and I'm calling from Connecticut. And I'm really finding this conversation extremely interesting. But I just wonder, at what point will you talk about how you use hypnosis to help that person overcome the problems that they have?
Ms. Dwyer?
So we access the subconscious mind through hypnosis. That's what hypnosis is. It's a ritual to get to the subconscious mind. Once you access the subconscious mind, you can change beliefs that you hold about yourself, which in turn change your emotions, which in turn change your behaviors. So, or we could call it a behavior, an issue, a symptom. That would be overworking, people-pleasing, smoking cigarettes, overeating. Those are just symptoms, which underneath those are emotions, and underneath that are beliefs about oneself. It always goes back to what you believe about yourself. So when we access the subconscious and we find out those beliefs, we change them, you in turn see that you feel different and therefore you act different.
How do you change them?
So the subconscious responds by repetition and when there's a high emotional charge around something. So by using hypnotic conditioning, which basically you would record a session and then the person would listen to it over and over and over. So the subconscious doesn't know fact from fiction. So it hears something enough, it believes it to be true. So it hears something enough, it will change it.
Oh my gosh, this is like very interesting.
It is.
Okay, well.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I thank you very much. I'm going to listen to more.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
You know, what you're talking about is the brain, of course.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And as we discussed earlier tonight, that's what runs our lives.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, that's the way it is,
Yeah.
right? So you really have to delve deeply into one's mind to get to that subconscious world. When do you know that you're actually there?
Well, to know that I have, basically it's just me giving suggestions. There's actually physiological responses that show me that somebody's in hypnosis.
Really?
Yes.
Like what?
If someone's eyes start to tear, lacrimation. If they start to swallow a lot. Eye fluttering, like the eyelids fluttering. And then you can also see physically in their body, if I'm telling them they're on a beach and they're relaxing, all of a sudden they start slumping down deeper into their chair. Well, I must have access to their subconscious, because if I sat here and I said, you can't feel your right arm, what are you thinking?
You're crazy. I can feel my,
I can feel my
right
left arm or right arm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I can't make you feel that, but the subconscious knows how to relax its muscles. So if I have access to the subconscious and you start relaxing just because of words I'm saying, then I know I have access to it.
All right. So you've helped some of your friends, perhaps, that are working 60 hours a week? Why not?
You have to want to change to change.
And that is very true. That is very true. And I guess a lot of knowledge workers, once again, this word knowledge workers, are in a paradigm, it seems. And I don't understand it. They know that they're getting unhealthy doing what they're doing. It's proven, and you know it's proven, that it makes them unhealthy, but yet they keep on doing it. So even if one of those people were to go to you, you probably couldn't help them, could you?
Why is that?
Well, you just told me that's just the way they are.
Oh, of course not. Of course I can help them. It's like anything, any addiction, any behavior. Okay, have you ever been on a diet and then eaten a cupcake?
Well, haven't we all? Half a gallon of ice cream?
Well, I'm on that seafood diet. I just seafood and eat it.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. It's logically you want to do one thing. Logically you have all the information. See, behaviors are not about knowledge. 90% of what we do is driven by the subconscious, which is driven by emotion. So I may know, that I'm working too much and it may have its physical, effects on my body. But emotionally, there's a reason I'm doing it. There's some underlying reason why I would be doing it. And it's not a logical concept.
So how do you, once again, you get them into a subconscious state, right, where you can give them suggestions?
Yes.
About what is the cause of their overworking, or the cause of how they feel about themselves.
Okay, so I would probably do an intake with them first and do like some sentence completion to find out what is it. Okay, I feel like if I didn't work that many hours, I'm scared that I would, or I feel like I would what? That would help me to uncover why are you doing what you're doing? What are the emotions? And underneath that, what are the beliefs? Like, let's just, for example, say it was, I'm scared I'll get fired. I'm scared I'll get fired because I'm scared I'm not good enough. That is a core belief. So then we work on the not good enough part.
So if they're feeling they're not good enough, they figure more is better. In other words, more hours, put in more hours, I'll make up because I'm not good enough.
Sure.
Is that the idea?
Sure, it can go two ways. I can overwork and say, I'm going to prove that I am good enough. Or I could say, I'm not going to really try that hard because I know ultimately I'm not going to be good enough. So why bother?
We have another call coming in. Hello, this is Andy Gutierrez and Trish Dwyer, and you're live.
Hi. Hello. Andy Valerie here.
Hey, Val, how are you?
Hey, hi, Andy. Miss Dwyer, Trish is very fascinating. And, we need more hypnotherapists out there because Trish, as an ex-psychologist, biofeedback is just management therapist, I have worked with nurses who are real angels, all of you. And basically, the thing that we used to use, I wanted to share this with you and the audience, which is kind of fascinating as far as hypnosis. We used to use flotation tanks, Trish, if you're familiar with that, and they have isolation tanks, and feed in and monitored with certain kinds of Baroque music, which has the ability, actually, the only kind of music to, like, entrain brainwave activity, and put in subliminal suggestions. And we had like 100% success rate with that. It's a form of hypnosis, and I just think that I've read recently also that hypnosis is the number one choice for people who want to stop smoking. Could you comment on that?
Yes.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you.
For quitting smoking, yes, absolutely. It is actually, whereas nicotine patches and, medications and shots, those all address the symptom, the behavior of smoking, but hypnosis addresses the underlying drive to the behavior, which makes it a more lasting, permanent solution.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to take a brief respite and come back at you.
The beloved 55-hour work week. Who created it? Management or employees? Management claims their employees lack necessary collaborative communication and critical thinking skills, while employees feel management helped create the infamous 37% unproductive work week. Employers counter with the claim 20% of workers lack even the most rudimentary creative skills, while 71% of workers claim managers create ineffective and irrelevant meetings. Finally, executives want people who can make decisions, interact with their team in a manner that is easily understood. But if employees spend over 50% of the time managing their email, do they really have the time to learn new techniques? Well, so who is right? The answer is neither. First, both managers and employees are a management team, so stop pointing fingers at one another. And the management teams are complaining of the lack of effective communication. How many managers or employees understand the rules of memorable interaction? And certainly there are rules. Here are a few facts you should know before communicating. First, 90% of the day's events are forgotten. So how do you get into that 10% retention pool? Second, you only have the capacity to remember 8 new things in an hour. Just 8 new things. How much new information was included in your last meeting? And finally, we speak over 16,000 words a day, but it's like talking to ourselves because 86% of what we remember is seen and only 9% heard. So reduce the 55-hour work week while creating management teams that have effective, memorable interaction with coworkers, work well together, and take action on their own. Have the management team visit theunfinishedworkweek.com to learn all the rules to effective, memorable interaction. Or just call me, Andy Gutierrez, at 609-410-9291 for an appointment.
Well, hello. We're back again at the Unfinished Work Week, and we're here with Trish Dwyer, a hypnotherapist from Tampa. And do you think to do over the phone or anything with clients?
I have, but that's not my preference.
But you could.
Yes.
Because remember, this is being aired, worldwide, so you actually could.
Yes, definitely. Skyping would be the preferred method.
Okay.
Just because there is a visual component of it that's kind of important.
And what is your Skype moniker? Trish Dwyer?
No, I don't do it right as of now.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
But you're thinking of doing it.
Possibly.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, be positive. That's what.
So who's the one putting subliminal messages in now?
Yeah.
You just gave me a suggestion.
See, one hypnotist told me, be positive, be positive. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about before, because I think it's, I want to get to the root of it. Mm-hmm. You don't know me that well, so you don't understand the way I feel about businesses and management and the way that they treat their workers. And to give you a little bit of a background, we're talking about stress tonight, right? Chronic stress that actually does kill people, right?
Yes.
And if you look at a pyramid, the stress pyramid, the person with the least amount of stress at the top of that pyramid is who?
The CEO.
The CEO. You're right. Yeah. And as you keep on coming down and down into the different layers, the more stress there is. So this lack of self-esteem that you're talking about, how did the workforce in general, because the average American works 55 hours a week. That's known. 55 hours a week. Not 40, 55. Now, why are they doing that? The self-esteem. Who made them get this low self-esteem? How did they get it? They weren't born with it.
No, not born with it.
Then how do we get it?
Well, everything, all our self-esteem, all our beliefs about ourselves and the world and what our place is in the world and our value happens in your childhood. It all happens before the age of 10. So basically, when you have your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and there's kind of a block in between, and that is kind of like a trap door, and it comes down and it closes by the age of 10, which means your self-esteem is formed, your beliefs have formed, and everything thereafter becomes a reinforcing event. So it reinforces what you already believe to be true. So you're operating under a reality of, this is who I am, these are my limits, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. Even though none of that is real, it's your reality, but it's not real reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's making sense, but we're talking about managers, as you said before, directors, people in supervisory positions. They had to believe in themselves to get there, but yet they're still working 55, 60, and 65 hours a week. So is that all attributed back to the self-esteem issue again?
Well, now remember, people are different personalities. Now, like I said before, one person could go and overachieve to prove otherwise, or somebody else could go, I'm not really that good anyway, so I'm just going to be good at this job. I'm not really going to try that hard.
I understand that, but in general, and I'm speaking the 80-20 rule, in general, we have very intelligent people, I would imagine, in corporations, in big corporations, small corporations, that are part of the corporate philosophy of lowering headcount, taking that work and putting it on the shoulders of the remaining workers, and still expecting the same productivity. That's what's happening in the United States today. Mm-hmm. I mean, the middle class has gone goodbye, let's face it. And once you become an exempt employee, you don't make overtime. So you actually become owned really by management, because they give you things to do and you work like crazy hours to do it. So could it be that management is like maybe reinforcing this self-esteem issue? Could that be a theory?
Well, yes, certainly. As in, if you're saying, are you asking as in regards to like making people do working overtime, working beyond their hours? Are they?
Well, tell me something. If an employee if the average employee today works 55 hours a week, mm-hmm. and then they decided to say, you know what, I'm tired of this chronic stress. I'm tired of eating late. I'm tired of eating at my desk. I'm tired of not getting any exercise. I'm tired of my cells dying inside my body. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to work 40 hours a week. And if it gets done, it gets done. It doesn't, it doesn't. And he's got 2 kids at home. What's going to happen to him?
He'll get fired.
Yeah, he will, won't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is management, just a thought, is management really making these workers have low self-esteem?
Maybe
By
reinforcing
making them
it.
work that hard?
They're reinforcing something that must already exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like your long-term memory is here, and your long-term memory, when you add to it, it adds to the different neurons in the long-term memory. It's part of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just keeps on going in there like a library, and it builds up more and more biases.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Didn't know I knew that, did you?
No. Hey, that's my thing.
Yeah, it's your thing. But let's get back to the conditions. Doesn't your environment have anything to do with the way that you feel? Can a person change after 10 years old?
Well, of course.
Okay.
You create an environment that matches your own beliefs. So if I think that I'm going to be financially successful and I just know that I am, I'm going to create a reality that supports that. And so my environment's going to match that. So you have to figure whoever's in your life, the people that are in your life, and your current job and your environment have to somehow match where you are within yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes philosophical sense. But on the other hand, there's an outside force entering into the picture here, who's the supervisor and the supervisor's supervisor, who's handed down these projects that wants this work done by a depleted workforce. Mm-hmm. What happens then? You must have clients coming to you talking about that. You have to have.
Yes, because it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one, but I think quit.
And so that's what you tell them.
Start your own business.
I asked someone, this is really sad. I asked a lady to be on the show. She had worked for a large company in the Tampa area. And one of the main reasons she quit that job was because of chronic stress. And I said, great, I want you on the show to talk about that. She said, I don't think I can do that. And I said, why not? She said, because I'm probably going to go in the same field, and I don't want people to see me talking about it that way. Now that is sad.
Mm-hmm.
So what that's telling me, I don't know what it's telling you, but that's telling me that, with all these ridiculous hours that people are demanding from you, you quit a job, right, because of that chronic stress and all of that good stuff. But yet, after getting yourself a little bit healthy again, you're ready to dive back in. Well, why would a person do that?
Not rational.
You told me before you deal with the irrational.
Right. I do.
Okay? So how could you, help a person like that?
The behavior is just coming from something else. Why would somebody do that? It makes no sense. Just like, why would somebody smoke cigarettes? I mean, intellectually, we know what they do to you. Everybody knows that. So why would you do that? Why would you do the very thing that's going to kill you?
My college roommate always told me there'd be a cure by the time we were older, but that didn't happen.
Didn't happen yet.
No.
Maybe you're not older yet.
No, I am. So how do we can't help a person like that then?
Of course you can.
Oh.
You have to understand, figure out what is driving the behavior. Why would you do that to yourself?
Because they have to work and make money. And that's their field.
Okay, so could they not do something different? Is it fear that's limiting them to this one job? Do they believe that they couldn't do something else if they wanted to?
They might be at that age, right? They might be at that age where their background, their experience is what's going to get them that good paying job. It could be that. Because remember, the median income for an individual in the United States of America is $27,000 a year. And for a family of four, it's only $47,000 a year. Think of trying to live it on that. And so she's coming from a position where she was making well above that. And she certainly would like to make that again. So that would be a reason that you would go back in the same field. She wouldn't be starting all over again.
Sure, but maybe if you go back into it, then you set up a different precedent that you start by you're not the one who's going to stay over every single night. You're not the one who's going to be picking up everyone else's slack. So people don't expect that from you. So you're not setting it up that way. Because all our relationships are set up, even in an abusive relationship. One person, you're setting it up in a certain way.
Holy cow, the way you said that, abusive situations, because like battered women seem to always go back and get battered again.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a woman that was stressed out and is going to go back in and get stressed out again.
And didn't talk about it. Why? Because of fear.
Because of fear.
Right.
Yeah, it was fear. She did not want to come on here. And she said, I love your show and everything, but I don't want to be recognized. I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm thinking of putting paper bags over some people's faces and having them come in here,
We'll just
like
distort their face with all the pixelation.
Yeah, Well, this has been a great time tonight. What I would like you to do right now, I'd like you to tell the folks out there really how good you are, what you do, where you're located. Give them your email addresses again and everything else. I want them to go to you. You can help them.
Yes.
And that's what the show is about, helping the people that work 55, 60, 65 hours a week and are getting unhealthy doing it. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so whether it's stress-related, anxieties, fears, smoking, weight loss, anything that you can think of in your life that you want different, well, it can be different, and I can help you to get there. So give me a call at 813-579-5353. I'm located in Tampa at 3825 Henderson Boulevard, Suite 204. And, yeah.
And she does work, and it does work what she does. I can attest to that. Okay, that's our show for this evening. Now, next week, we are probably going to have another remote person on here. Next week, you're also going to see a completely different environment that we're going to be in next week. We're actually going to be in New York, but here in Tampa. And you'll see what I mean by that next week. Right, Chris? You're coming with me, aren't you?
I hope so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're going to have a blast.
You're not going to leave me here, are you?
No, I won't leave you here. And also, we're going to be talking about, we're going to touch on this again. Why are you working 55, 60, and 65 hours a week when scientifically it is proven that the most efficient work week is 40 hours for a manual labor, and for a knowledge worker, for corporate workers, 36 and a half hours is the most efficient. And we're going to be talking about that next week. So until then, please, we're going to try and prove to you that you can work less hours, be more productive, and enjoy your life and become healthy again. Good night.
Thanks for watching. If you would like more information on what you just heard today, or you'd like to obtain your own copy of The Unfinished Workweek, go to theunfinishedworkweek.com. That's www.theunfinishedworkweek.com.